Baseless, that's what Türkiye called a statement adopted by the Arab League during their most recent meeting in Cairo. Türkiye's foreign ministry said that the group's decisions had been taken under the influence of narrow-minded, short-term interests. Ankara added it would continue to fight terror threats and protect its national security in line with international law. A statement by the Arab League claimed that Türkiye was interfering in the internal affairs of Arab countries, which Ankara rejected. Formed back in 1945 with just 6 members, the Arab League had an ambitious but nearly impossible mandate to create a unified Arab voice and mediate disputes in the aftermath of the Second World War. Today, the Arab League has 22 members and meets regularly to address decades-old challenges that have plagued the region. Long criticized for its ineffectiveness in resolving conflicts throughout North Africa and the Middle East, critics argue the Arab League's influence has waned in recent years. So how will this latest draw with Ankara impact the region? And to further discuss the Arab League and its recent statements regarding Türkiye, joining me from Paris is Abdennour Toumi. He is a researcher at ORSAM, a think tank specializing on the Middle East. And Riccardo Fabiani, he is a project director of North Africa at the International Crisis Group and joins us from Lisbon. A warm welcome to you both, and thanks for joining me on Straight Talk. So, Abdennour, what would you make of the latest Arab League statement urging Türkiye to withdraw from Arab countries and not to interfere in their internal affairs?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Actually, this statement comes or continues in the empty discourse that is taken by some Arab leaders in the Pan-Arab organization, and it doesn't make any sense because actually the political elite and even Swedes do understand that while just, as I said, an empty discourse. Because if we speak about the foreign presence in Arab lands, so the list is full, and Turkey or Türkiye is actually, defending its national security issue, and of course, they mean by that, this statement came from some Arab leaders about the presence of Turkey in Syria, and Turkey sees that is a direct and imminent threat to its national security.
Yes.
So this doesn't have any echo at all, and even in the Pan-Arab meeting room.
Yes. So, Riccardo, would you agree with Abdennour? And why do you think is the organization coming out now against Türkiye over its policies? And could you talk to us about the anti-Turkish sentiments in the Arab League?
I think it's quite clear that Turkey has made some efforts over the past months and years really to get closer and improve its relations with some of the key Arab states, including, for example, Egypt. But that this effort has not really been enough to seduce, so to speak, these Arab governments, and most importantly, to produce a complete alignment between Ankara and the other Arab capitals regarding regional politics. So the issue here now becomes, we're basically going back to an issue that has always been there and keeps cropping up, which is the issue of obviously regional stability and most importantly regional hegemony and control over some of the key areas and some of the conflicts in the region. The pressure is now on Turkey by some of the Arab states to withdraw. Of course, this kind of statements will not produce any results because Ankara is not just going to listen and obey and just comply with this kind of requests. But it's a signal, right? It's a message that is being sent to Turkey that there needs to be some sort of adjustment, that the issue has not been settled and that the pressure is still on. And I think this is, I would say, the key sort of takeaway that we can take from this kind of decisions or statements that obviously are not significant per se, but they are more of a signal or a message in diplomatic terms.
So one of the messages was that Abdennour, Egypt's foreign minister, has walked out of the meeting when his Libyan counterpart chaired a session. So is this statement, can we say, also aimed at Turkish policies in Libya? And how deep do the rifts between Turkey and Egypt run when it comes to Libya?
Actually, it is one of those, I would say, complex issues when it comes to the relation between, and again, some of the Arab leaders vis-à-vis Turkey, and notably I would add the access of Cairo, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh. But I mean, lately, I mean, we have been following the normalization process that took place last spring between the Saudis and the Turkish leaders on one hand, and between the Emiratis and the Turkish leaders on the other. And also, there are this, I would say, prudent normalization between Cairo and Ankara that I'm sure will be, again, a breakthrough soon. Now, as far as the, I would say, put it in this way, it's a melodrama of the Egyptian Foreign Affairs Minister for leaving the meeting when he saw his counterpart, the Libyan Foreign Affairs, taking the podium, because Libya will be chairing the Arab League session.
Yes.
So, and to externally laugh, because the two main in this access, I mean, Emirates and the Saudi Arabia Foreign Affairs Minister didn't leave the room.
So, Riccardo, we all know that the Arab League, which is one of the oldest regional organizations founded in 1945, just a few months before the foundation of the United Nations, has always remained divided. The only issue that all member states once agreed on was the opposition to the formation of Israel. Now, that has significantly changed with the Abraham Accords. Where does the organization stand when it comes to regional ties, and have Arab countries become more hostile towards Turkey than Israel lately?
I think that the Abraham Accords and the general normalization with Israel has been one of the main factors, obviously, in a way dividing the Arab community, so the Arab states community and the Arab League specifically. Obviously, the Arab League has always been divided. There have always been divisions of all sorts. This is nothing new, really, and can only, I would say, at times and not very often, find unity around very specific issues. And I think this will remain the case in the near future, because it's quite clear that the Arab states will remain on different sides, particularly regarding Israel, but also regarding other issues. You know, we can talk about, of course, Libya, we can talk about Syria, we can talk about Western Sahara. There are several regional issues that will continue to divide this. Now, there is some, I would say, limited unity and temporary unity around this sort of opposition or rejection of Turkey's role in the region. It's unclear how far this will go, also considering that there is some sort of rapprochement between Egypt and Turkey, even though it's been partial and incomplete over the past months. And obviously, there are some negotiations right now taking place behind the scenes on Libya. There is a new UN envoy. So even this kind of temporary rejection, signaled by the Arab League towards Turkey, could easily change in the next months if the international circumstances will also change. So I would say unity and remains quite elusive when it comes to Arab League politics.
So, Abdennour, very quickly, please. I mean, despite this negative approach towards Turkey, Turkey has renewed its willingness to work with all members of that league for the stability and prosperity of the region. How do you think this is going to play out, and why do you think Turkey is adopting a more tolerant approach towards the Arab League?
Actually, because of its pivotal state in the region, and Turkey, from actually especially the last, I would say, decade or so, has positioned itself in the posture of stabilization and, again, prosperity for the region. And also, there is this triangle, I mean, non-Arab triangle, that is actually to some extent managing the Middle East policies and imperatives, and all in the perimeter of national security, which are the three of them are not Arabs. I mean, by this, it's the triangle of Tel Aviv, Tehran, and Ankara. So this is why the Arabs now, or some Arab countries, are trying to position themselves in this dynamic. And this is why we saw, I mean, there are some Arab countries who did get this and understand the dynamic, and also the, to some extent, the dislocation of the Arab message.
So it wouldn't be wrong to say that regional countries are realigning themselves. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.